I wasn't born tough. I wasn't born disciplined. I wasn't born a Navy SEAL. I was born broken. My name is David Goggins, and this is how I rebuilt myself from the ground up, brick by painful brick. My childhood wasn't a storybook. It was pain. It was a violent home filled with fear, a constant state of anxiety that left deep scars, a trauma that would follow me like a shadow for years. Every night was a gamble, every day a survival mission. That fear didn't just stay at home, it followed me to school. I was the kid in the back of the class, struggling, feeling completely invisible. Learning was a nightmare. I couldn't focus, I couldn't keep up, and the shame of it all was crushing. I wasn't just falling behind in grades, I was falling behind in life. So what did I do? I ran. I ran from every challenge. I ran from discipline. I ran from any hint of discomfort. Most of all, I ran from myself. It was easier to make excuses than it was to face the truth. That I was lost, that I was afraid, and that I was completely out of control. This escape led me down a path of self-destruct. I started gaining weight, a physical manifestation of the mental burden I was carrying. Food became my only comfort, a temporary fix for a permanent problem. Before I knew it, I was nearly 300 pounds, a prisoner in my own body, trapped in a life I absolutely hated. I was working a dead-end job, living a life of quiet desperation, just letting the days slip by. I had accepted my fate. This was it. This was all I would ever be. Then, one night, something shifted. It was a single moment that would change the entire trajectory of my life. I was sitting on my couch, flipping through channels, feeling sorry for myself as usual, when a documentary came on. It was about the Navy SEALs. I watched these men endure unimaginable hardship during as training. I saw them push their bodies and minds to the absolute breaking point, and then go even further. They were everything I wasn't: strong, disciplined, mentally unbreakable. In that moment, watching them suffer, something inside me clicked. It wasn't just admiration, it was a realization. My life wasn't over. It just hadn't truly begun yet. That night, I decided I was going to become one of them. The next day, I walked into a Navy recruitment office. I was 24 years old and weighed 297 pounds. I told the recruiter my dream. He looked me up and down, and then he laughed. He literally laughed in my face. He told me it was impossible. The weight limit was 191 pounds. I was over 100 pounds overweight. He said I was too old, too big, too far gone. And you know what? By every conventional measure, he was right. It was impossible. But I learned something powerful that day. Impossible is just a word. It's a limitation that other people place on you. It's an excuse to stay comfortable. That rejection lit a fire in me that nothing could extinguish. I went home, and I declared war on myself, the old self. The lazy, undisciplined, excuse-making self had to die. I started training for months, with a ferocity I never knew I possessed. My days became a relentless cycle of pain and effort. I would wake up before dawn and run until my feet were raw and bleeding. I taped up my shins and kept going. I rode a stationary bike for hours, drenched in sweat, pushing through the burning in my legs. The excuses that had run my life for years were replaced by brutal, unrelenting discipline. The comfort I had always craved was replaced by constant, agonizing pain. It wasn't just a physical battle, it was a mental one. To pass the entrance exam, I had to reteach myself how to learn, how to study, how to focus. I would sit for hours, my eyes burning from staring at books, forcing my mind to absorb information it had rejected for so long. Every day was a test. Every single day, my mind begged me to quit, to go back to the couch, to just give up. But for the first time in my life, I refused. I learned to talk to myself, to callous my mind, to find fuel in my own suffering. In less than 3 months, I lost over 100 pounds. I went back to that same recruiter. He didn't recognize me. The laughter was gone from his eyes, replaced by disbelief. I had done the impossible. I qualified for Navy SEAL training, but that was just the beginning of the real test. That was just the ticket to the main event, Hell Week. Hell Week is 5.5 days of continuous training with less than 4 hours of total sleep. It's designed to break you. It's pure, unfiltered misery. Constant cold, constant pain, constant physical and mental stress. It's where most candidates quit. I didn't just go through it once or twice. I went through it 3 times in 1 year. The first time, I got pneumonia. The second, a stress fracture in my leg. Each time, I was sent back to the start. Each time, I had to face that brutal week all over again. People thought I was crazy. Why would anyone put themselves through that kind of suffering 3 times? But they didn't understand. The pain wasn't my enemy anymore. It was my tool. The suffering wasn't breaking me. It was forging me. It became my armor. In that cold, miserable water, carrying logs until my shoulders screamed, I found a part of myself that had been buried under years of fear and self-pity. I found the man I was always meant to be. I finally graduated and became a Navy SEAL, but I didn't stop there. I went on to graduate from Army Ranger School. I became an ultra-athlete, competing in some of the world's toughest endurance races, running hundreds of miles on broken bones, pushing my body to places people thought were inhuman. I became the man the world knows today. Not because I was the strongest or the most gifted athlete. Far from it. I became this man for one simple reason: I refused to quit. Your mind is the most powerful weapon you have, but it will quit on you 1,000 times before your body ever does. You don't know your true limits until you willingly push past them. You don't know your real strength until pain introduces you to it. And you will never, ever know what your future can be until you gather up all your excuses, all your past traumas, all your fears, and you burn them to the ground. My story isn't about being a Navy SEAL. It is about what we are all capable of when we stop running from the hard parts of life and start facing them head on. It's about realizing that the bottom of the barrel, the darkest moments, can be the very foundation you build a new life upon. I am David Goggins, and you can't hurt me. Thank you for listening. Stay hard.